were so in love, there were no questions asked. It felt right. Like it literally made sense for the next step in our sex life together.
Text messages and email chains and BlackBerry messages from 2007, from 2009, where Cassie is confessing her love to Diddy, or I'm a very lucky woman, I miss you, and I'd fly wherever you need me, I love you. And then you see Diddy respond, I love you so much, it makes me cry. And then Cassie writing back, you hungry pop. But I'm thinking, just from my perspective, that around those time frames, she was still relatively young. For the most part, she was in her early 20s.
What does Sean Diddy Combs have to hide in the first explosive week of Cassie's lawsuit? Damning allegations about freak-offs were revealed, and Diddy's desperate moves to silence her might tell us everything we need to know. In the explosive first week of Cassie's lawsuit, disturbing allegations, including revelations about so-called freak-offs, have come to light, painting a troubling picture of Sean Diddy Combs. His frantic attempts to silence Cassie may speak volumes about what he's trying to keep hidden.
She has been very forthcoming in answering these questions. She's showing she is asking for a freak off, or she's, asking, about just more intimate details from her relationship with him. Because to your point, Jesse, a lot of this stuff, some of these messages that we did see in court, Cassie say, Pop, I really miss you. And Diddy responding in these messages, me too, baby. Damn, I can't wait until I see you. You see a 2010 message where Cassie says, so you hung up. It's like I need to have something written out to say to you with no breathing room, or you'll get mad at me. I haven't talked to you at all. I know you have 3 minutes because, around this time he is running a bunch of businesses. He's going to board meetings. He's traveling across the country. But it seems like, Cassie, from her point of view, just by reading these messages, that you could kind of tell that she was just somebody, at least from my perspective, somebody that was young and in love and just wanted her boyfriend around her that time.
She wrote to Combs in an email, in order for me to be more open with the things we do in bed, I need to feel safe, like home, like this is my husband, and this is the only man that will ever have this aggressive sexual side of me. When we used to freak off, when we were so in love, there were no questions asked. It felt right. Like it literally made sense for the next step in our sex life.
The first week of Cassie's lawsuit against Sean Diddy Combs has already sent shockwaves through the music industry. It's not just about the drama, it's about what she exposed Cassie, who rose to fame as a singer and model, while in a highly publicized relationship with Diddy, went into graphic detail about the years of control, intimidation, and bizarre behaviors she claims to have endured. Among the most chilling allegations, a disturbing practice she described as freak-offs. So what exactly is a freak-off? According to Cassie, these were orchestrated events where she was allegedly forced to perform or participate in sexual acts with other people. At Diddy's insistence, the term became central to her case, because it's not just about salacious details. It paints a picture of someone allegedly using their power to dehumanize and control. These allegations were enough to capture widespread attention, and they go far beyond sordid gossip. They highlight what many say is a troubling abuse of power in the entertainment industry, where boundaries are blurred for the sake of one person's control. The courtroom revelations came with plenty of receipts, too. Cassie's legal team didn't just outline these allegations in vague terms. They came prepared with specific instances and descriptions of Diddy's alleged behavior during their decade-long relationship. She detailed how these freak-offs weren't isolated incidents, but frequent occurrences designed to exert control over her and erode her sense of self. Cassie claims these events were part of a larger pattern of manipulation, where she says she was trapped in a toxic cycle of fear and compliance. And if Diddy's reaction to these allegations tells us anything, it's that he's worried about what could come next. Cassie's lawsuit isn't just setting the stage for a legal showdown. It's inviting a broader conversation about how power is wielded in the entertainment industry for years. The public saw Diddy as a successful mogul at the top of his game, but Cassie's account challenges that narrative. It suggests an industry where unchecked influence can give rise to horrific abuses of power. As disturbing as Cassie's allegations are, they're also shining a spotlight on systemic issues that have long been overlooked. Experts on celebrity culture and power dynamics are already weighing in, calling these claims a watershed moment for accountability in Hollywood and the music world. These kinds of accusations serve as a reminder that fame can shield bad behavior, allowing powerful figures to silence their victims for years. And while Cassie's testimony is just the beginning, it's being closely watched by advocates, fans, and industry insiders, a sign that the tide may be shifting. Against abusive practices by entertainment elites, the implications for Diddy, if these claims are proven true, are massive. A reputation carefully built over decades could crumble almost overnight. Industry insiders are already speculating on what a guilty verdict could mean for his business ventures, from his music empire to his partnerships and lifestyle brands. But here's the thing. Diddy's image as a larger-than-life life mogul has always been his selling point, and that image is now at risk of being dismantled piece by piece. All it takes is more evidence. And according to Cassie's legal team, they're just getting started. They've vowed to present additional documentation, more witnesses, and even more examples in the coming weeks. If what's already been revealed is this explosive, there's no telling how damaging the next wave could be. 1 week into the trial, it's clear that the stakes couldn't be higher. Cassie's willingness to stand up to someone as influential as Diddy is already being recognized as a moment of extraordinary courage, and it could be the beginning of a much-needed reckoning in the entertainment industry. But with Diddy's team undoubtedly rallying behind closed doors, the battle is far from over. How will Diddy respond to these damaging claims? Let's just say his next moves could reveal just how much he has to lose. The first week of Cassie's lawsuit against Sean Diddy Combs has sent shockwaves through the music industry, not just because of the drama, but because of the disturbing allegations she's brought to light. Cassie, who rose to fame as a singer and model during her high-profile relationship with Diddy, has gone into graphic detail about what she describes as years of manipulation, intimidation, and deeply troubling behavior. Central to her claims is a disturbing practice she called freak-offs, alleged events where she says Diddy forced her to engage in sexual acts with others, all orchestrated for his gratification and control. These allegations go far beyond tabloid fodder. They paint a harrowing picture of abuse of power, raising urgent questions about consent, coercion, and the exploitation that can thrive unchecked in the entertainment industry. Cassie's legal team hasn't relied on vague accusations. They've come armed with specific, detailed accounts, aiming to establish a pattern of psychological control and sexual exploitation that spanned their decade-long relationship. According to her, these freak-offs weren't rare or random. They were frequent tools of domination meant to erode her autonomy and reinforce a cycle of fear and submission. The lawsuit has captivated public attention and sparked a broader conversation about accountability in Hollywood and the music world. Diddy, once seen as a powerhouse mogul with an untouchable legacy, now faces a reputational crisis that could shake the foundations of his empire. If Cassie's claims are proven true, the fallout could be massive, affecting his music ventures, business partnerships, and public image. Industry insiders are already bracing for impact. Cassie's decision to speak out is being recognized as a bold act of courage, signaling a potential turning point in how abuse is addressed in the entertainment world. Her legal team has hinted that what's been revealed so far is just the beginning, promising more evidence, witnesses, and testimonies in the weeks ahead. If the initial revelations are any indication, what's coming next could be even more damaging. As Diddy and his team prepare their response, one thing is clear: the stakes are incredibly high. This lawsuit isn't just a legal battle, it's a public reckoning.
Defense attorney essentially using these text messages to say to her, well, listen, you again were a willing participant, you continue this relationship with him. And the defense is highlighting that through those text messages and through the conversations Ms. Ventura has been having. But it also goes both ways, because also in those text messages, which there are some ones for the prosecution here, she discusses how he has been physically violent towards her. They discuss the freak-offs and a number of other things that really go to show that there was some sort of physical violence within the relationship, threats of force and things like that, which the government essentially has to prove.
I have felt profound anger that she has been subjected to sitting in front of a person who tried to break her. So, to him and all of those who helped him along the way, please know this: you did not. Over the past 5 days, the world has gotten to witness the strength and bravery of my wife, freeing herself of her past. There has been speculation online surrounding how it must feel for me to sit there and listen to my wife's testimony. I have felt so many things sitting there. I have felt tremendous pride and overwhelming love for Cassie. I have felt profound anger that she has been subjected to sitting in front of a person who tried to break her. So, to him and all of those who helped him along the way, please know this: you did not. You did not break her spirit nor her smile that lights up every room. You did not break the souls of a mother who gives the best hugs and plays the silliest games with our little girls. You did not break the woman who has made me a better man. This week has been extremely challenging, but also remarkably empowering and healing for me. I hope that my testimony has given strength and a voice to other survivors and can help others who have suffered to speak up and also heal from abuse and fear. For me, the more I heal, the more I can remember. And the more I can remember, the more I will never.
When powerful people feel threatened, their first instinct is to take control. And Did's actions since the trial began say a lot about how much he has to lose following Cassie's bombshell allegations. Insiders claim he's pulling every string he can to silence her and regain control of the narrative. But with every move he makes, Diddy seems to be showing the world just how desperate he is. Reports suggest that Did's team wasted no time hitting back legal experts close to the case. Believe. He's already applied significant pressure behind the scenes, whether through private negotiations or legal threats. The first strategy pushed Cassie toward a settlement before anything bigger comes out. Why? Because a settlement would mean no more new details, no more public testimony, and most importantly, for Diddy, no open courtroom filled with media, dissecting every word. But here's the real question. Why is he allegedly rushing to keep this quiet? What else is he afraid will be revealed? Then there are the whispered attempts at managing public perception. Diddy's team appears to be working overtime on damage control, trying to counteract the negative press surrounding the allegations. PR sources point to what they call a strategic silence, an effort to let the story die down in the media without directly addressing the claims. It's a common tactic we've seen before. Stay quiet. Avoid giving the story more fuel, and let the public's attention naturally move on to the next scandal. But is it working? Not this time. The noise around this case is only growing as more details come to light, and Diddy's silence isn't helping his image. It's making him look even more calculated, even more cornered. What's also come to light are claims about Diddy's history with non-disclosure agreements. Allegedly, NDAs have been a key part of his strategy for years to keep stories like this from seeing the light of day, according to some reports. Former associates of Diddy describe a pattern of requiring strict NDAs from anyone getting too close. The reasoning is simple. If they can't speak, they can't tell the truth. These NDAs have reportedly shielded Diddy for years, creating an environment where people are too afraid to come forward. But Cassie isn't afraid anymore. She broke her silence despite what many assume were attempts to keep her quiet long before this trial began. High-profile celebrities trying to suppress controversy is nothing new. Remember when Harvey Weinstein spent years silencing women through legal intimidation, NDAs, and payouts? It worked for a while, but when the truth came out, the backlash was overwhelming and his entire empire collapsed. Diddy's tactics aren't original. They're a playbook we've seen before. But here's what often gets overlooked. When these methods become public knowledge, they almost always backfire. Suppression tactics don't build trust, they create even more doubt. Public opinion is beginning to shift, and people are questioning why Diddy, a billionaire with decades of influence, is reportedly going to such lengths to quiet one woman's voice. What's buried underneath all this? What is so damning that he might risk ruining his legacy to keep it hidden? These are the questions Cassie's revelations have sparked, and the lack of a direct public response from Diddy is only fueling suspicions. But here's where it gets even more dangerous for Diddy: Cassie's refusal to back down, despite the reported pressure and attempts to undermine her credibility. She's pushing forward with her case, and that says a lot about her confidence. Those close to the situation speculate that Cassie has more evidence that could be catastrophic if it ever becomes public. If that's true, Diddy's fight to silence her isn't just desperate, it's doomed to fail as the legal battle continues. One thing is clear: Diddy's every move now is about self-preservation. But with Cassie standing firm, refusing to be intimidated, his attempts to protect his empire could collapse under the weight of her truths. What's more, her bravery is resonating beyond this case, setting the stage for something larger. So how far will Diddy go to keep his secrets buried? And how much will Cassie risk? To uncover the truth, stay with us, because her fight against intimidation is just beginning. When powerful people feel threatened, their first instinct is often to regain control. and Sean Diddy Combs' actions since the start of Cassie's. Lawsuits suggest he has a lot to lose. Following Cassie's explosive allegations, insiders claim Diddy is pulling every string he can to silence her and reclaim the narrative. But the harder he pushes, the more desperate he appears. According to reports, Diddy's legal team acted quickly, allegedly applying pressure behind the scenes through private negotiations and legal threats to steer Cassie toward a quiet settlement. Why? Because a settlement would halt the flow of damning details, end public testimony, and most importantly for Diddy, keep the case out of an open courtroom where the media is hanging on every word. But that urgency raises a crucial question. What else is Diddy trying to hide? Alongside the legal maneuvers, Diddy's camp seems to be working overtime on damage control. PR insiders point to what they call a strategic silence, a tactic meant to let the controversy fade from public view without fueling it further. It's a familiar move. Stay quiet, let the headlines move on, and hope the scandal dies down. But this time, it's not working. The media storm is growing louder, and Diddy's silence is being read not as restraint, but as calculated and defensive. Adding to the scrutiny are claims about Diddy's long history of using non-disclosure agreements, NDAs, to keep damaging stories under wraps. According to reports, former associates say NDAs were standard practice, an effective tool to ensure silence from anyone who got too close. The logic is simple. If no one can talk, the truth stays buried. But Cassie is no longer staying silent. Despite what many suspect were repeated efforts to silence her before the lawsuit even began, she has stepped forward, breaking the wall of silence that has reportedly surrounded Diddy for years. This strategy of suppression is nothing new in Hollywood. Harvey Weinstein famously relied on legal intimidation, NDAs, and payouts to silence his victims, until the truth finally emerged and his empire collapsed. Diddy's alleged tactics echo that same playbook. But once the public sees behind the curtain, these strategies often backfire. Instead of preserving reputations, they fuel deeper mistrust. Now people are asking, if Diddy is as powerful and protected as he appears, why go to such lengths to silence one woman? What truth is so damaging that he'd risk his legacy to keep it hidden? Cassie's refusal to back down speaks volumes. Despite the reported pressure and attacks on her credibility, she's pushing forward, and that confidence suggests she has more evidence to reveal. Some close to the case believe what's still to come could be devastating for Diddy. If that's true, his attempts to silence her aren't just desperate. They're doomed. As the legal fight unfolds, one thing is clear. Diddy's every move now is about preserving his empire. But with Cassie standing firm and refusing to be intimidated, his legacy may crumble under the weight of what she's willing to expose. And her bravery is echoing far beyond the courtroom, igniting a much-needed reckoning in the entertainment industry. The real question now is, how far will Diddy go to keep his secrets buried? And how far is Cassie willing to go to reveal them? Stay tuned, because her battle against silence is only just beginning.
Defense did not have as hard of a job this week as I thought they would.
Yeah. And you're right to point out that the onus is on the prosecutors. The defense can simply stand up and have nothing to say. It's totally up to the prosecutor. So let's move to that side of the courtroom. I had a judge on earlier this morning who said that she doesn't see a racketeering conviction. I reminded her we're a week into an 8-week trial, so there's more to come. But what do you see as it relates to that specific charge and what we heard from the Ventura testimony and just the earliest part of Don Richard's testimony?
Right, and I've got to agree with that judge. What I said, I spoke with your dear colleague Laura earlier in the week, and I said I don't see it yet. That doesn't mean we won't see it, but because Ms. Ventura has been promoted as the star witness, I don't think it's established there. And here's why. I think that there's a good bit of time being spent on domestic abuse. And while the domestic abuse is hideous, it is horrible, there's no justifying it, he's not charged with it, Victor. So they're using it in order to show that there was was this environment of coercion, but there's several things that Ms. Ventura said that lean the other way. So whether it was the initial questioning where she said the reason why she started doing the freak offs was because she loved him, whether it was her testimony that she started to view it really was like a job, that she was the person who was making the arrangements. She was the person who was contacting the travel agent for the escorts. She was the person who was selecting the different escorts based on certain parameters. None of that testimony necessarily goes to what the prosecution is hoping to prove. But here's the other thing I'll point out. The jury may be looking at Ms. Ventura as a co-conspirator, as a willing participant in a criminal enterprise. That doesn't necessarily mean that there wasn't a criminal enterprise. It just means to me that the prosecution is going a long way to try to prove that Ms. Ventura was forced into an action that I think they can get their proof on where Mr. Combs is concerned, whether Ms. Ventura was involved by force or whether she was involved by choice. It would still be a crime if they can use the rest of the time they have in this trial to show that the racketeering and the sex trafficking actually exist. Thanks for having me.
Joining me now is CNN senior legal analyst and former assistant U.S. attorney for the Southern District of New York, Ellie Honig. Okay, Ellie, before it began, you wrote and said it's overwhelmingly likely to end in a conviction, but it is not a cakewalk. Do you want to take any of that back now that we're into the trial?
No, I'm going to stick with that exactly, Michael. So I think the first part of that is overwhelmingly likely to result in conviction because we saw the evidence this week. I think Cassie Ventura was an extremely effective witness for the prosecution. I think she came across as credible and sympathetic and realistic in the way she described what happened to her. I think that video that we've been showing is incredibly compelling and visceral. But here's why it's not a cakewalk. The prosecutor's job here is not to prove that Sean Combs was a bad guy, a terrible guy. In fact, the defense got up and said he is a bad guy. He did commit domestic violence. But the charges here, the charges are the thing. This is not a state prosecution. This is not a domestic violence prosecution. This is a federal prosecution for racketeering, forcible sex trafficking, and then interstate prostitution. And I think as bad and damning as the evidence is, it's going to be tough for prosecutors, I think, to get it to meet the definition of racketeering and forcible sex trafficking.
Okay, and one final point, correct me if I'm wrong, but consent does not provide Diddy a defense here, but to the extent that they're seeking to show that she was a willing participant, it seems like they're just trying to make the whole situation and everybody involved part of some ugly enterprise and turn the jury off. Do I have it right?
Well, so two things. So on the sex trafficking charges, there's two variations of them. The more serious variation is by force, threats, or coercion. So if she consented, that would negate that. There's a less serious variation that's just interstate prostitution that carries a much lower penalty. To the larger point, the first count in this case is a racketeering conspiracy. I used to charge this all the time. Traditionally, that charge is used for mob families, for drug trafficking organizations. You can see it applied in other ways, but they need to show that Sean Combs was at the head of an organization, an organized group that committed multiple interconnected crimes for a common purpose. And I don't think Cassie Ventura's testimony on its own gets prosecutors there, but this is what I'm looking for in the coming weeks. I think they're going to build this out. I think they're going to show that this was not just a troubled domestic relationship, but prosecutors are going to try to show that this was a larger pattern of organized activity. I think it's going to be tough. I think they're going to have a hard time making out that racketeering charge, but I do think they've introduced some powerful evidence that can set them on their way towards it.
I'm going to put a social media up and we'll explore it together, but I want to say something. Criminal enterprise, he's the only one at the table. Enterprise with whom?
Yeah. Look, it's a good point. Technically, you can have a racketeering enterprise of one. It is not ideal. I mean, when I charge federal racketeering cases, the fewest defendants I ever had was maybe 5 or 6. I had 25 defendant cases, and I think count on the defense trying to exploit that. They're going to say, folks, they're trying to build this up into more than it is.
Cassie's fight isn't just about survival. It's about defiance. While most people in her position might quietly accept a settlement or back off in the face of overwhelming pressure, Cassie is doing the opposite. She's standing firm, refusing to back down, and in the process, she's showing an unmatched level of courage. Her decision to take on someone as powerful as Diddy and to do it so publicly is resonating far beyond this case. For years, Diddy has been seen as untouchable, a hip-hop mogul, who built an empire and maintained an iron grip on his public image. But Cassie is proving that fear doesn't always win. What makes Cassie's response even more striking is the reported intimidation she's facing from legal pressures to attempts to discredit her in the public eye. Her path forward hasn't been easy yet. She hasn't faltered. Her refusal to stay silent sends a powerful message, one that's inspiring others to question the status quo in an industry where silence has long been the norm. Cassie isn't playing by the rules typically expected of people who go up against entertainment giants. Instead, she's rewriting the script by exposing some of the ugliest truths about her experienced power dynamics. She's become a symbol of resistance. But here's the reality. Cassie pushing forward comes with enormous personal and professional risks. Legal battles aren't just about what's said in the courtroom. They're about enduring immense scrutiny from the public and media alike. And in Hollywood, a lawsuit against someone with Diddy's level of influence might be seen as career suicide. How many industry doors will quietly close for her? Now, those unanswered questions are a reminder of how much she's risking by continuing to drag her story into the spotlight. The stakes are painfully high, but the fact that she's undeterred says something about how important this fight is to her. It goes beyond bravado or revenge. Cassie's actions are having a real ripple effect on others. Insider conversations in Hollywood are reportedly shifting because of this case. Some sources say more survivors are reaching out to share their own stories spurred on by Cassie's bravery, though many remain cautious about going public for years. The entertainment world thrived off a "you stay quiet, we'll take care of you" kind of culture. But with stories like Cassie's coming to light, that unspoken rulebook is starting to crack. People are paying attention, especially younger artists and creators who see her case as breaking new ground for accountability in a space that often insulates its elites. The implications extend well beyond Diddy in this trial high-profile lawsuits. Like this shape not only public opinion, but also the way the entertainment industry regulates itself or doesn't. In cases like this, the court of public opinion becomes just as powerful as the legal one when celebrities turn up in headlines for exploitation or abuse. It forces the public to ask harder questions about how much we're willing to look the other way for the sake of entertainment. Cassie standing against intimidation might not just set a new precedent for celebrity accountability. It could also inspire a shift in how industries treat powerful individuals who abuse their influence. Perhaps what's most intriguing is that legal insiders claim Cassie's legal team might still have cards left to play the possibility of more evidence coming forward, be it emails, text messages, or witness testimony is keeping people around this trial on edge if the allegations already shared could shake a mogul's empire. Imagine what could happen if more damaging details emerge. Cassie's seeming confidence hints that there's more to her story, and it also suggests she's prepared to reveal it. But this fight isn't just for Cassie. It's about sending a clear signal to survivors everywhere, no matter how powerful someone seems. Their time of controlling the narrative could be over. Cassie stepping into this storm shows that those in Hollywood aren't as untouchable as they think, and if she succeeds, the precedent she sets will go far beyond this one case. This is about fighting back in a system that has allowed silence and intimidation to rule for too long, and with every step Cassie takes, Diddy's loss doesn't just seem possible, it feels inevitable. But what will happen if this case shatters his carefully constructed image? That fallout might just redefine his career forever. Let's take a look at what's at stake for Diddy. As the trial unfolds, Cassie's fight isn't just about survival, it's about defiance. While many in her position might quietly accept a settlement or retreat under intense pressure, she's chosen a different path. Cassie is standing firm, refusing to be silenced, and in doing so, she's displaying extraordinary courage. Her decision to publicly challenge someone as powerful as Sean Diddy Combs is echoing far beyond this single lawsuit. For years, Diddy has been seen as untouchable, a hip-hop mogul who tightly controlled his image and empire. But Cassie is proving that fear doesn't always win. What makes her stance even more powerful is the reported pressure she's facing, from legal intimidation to public attempts at character assassination. Despite it all, she hasn't wavered. Her refusal to back down sends a message. Silence is no longer the default. In an industry where survivors have long been expected to keep quiet, Cassie is breaking the mold. She's not following the script. written for those who dare to challenge entertainment giants. Instead, she's tearing it up, laying bare the toxic power dynamics she says she endured and becoming a symbol of resistance in the process. But that resistance comes at a steep price. The risks Cassie is taking, both personal and professional, are enormous. Legal battles bring relentless public scrutiny, and in Hollywood, going up against someone of Diddy's stature can quietly close doors behind the scenes. It's a stark reminder of just how much she's putting on the line. Yet her determination to continue speaks volumes. This isn't about revenge or spectacle, it's about truth, and about changing a system that has too often protected the powerful at the expense of the vulnerable. Cassie's courage is having a ripple effect. Industry insiders say her case is already shifting conversations in Hollywood. More survivors, inspired by her bravery, are reportedly coming forward, though many remain cautious about speaking publicly. For years, the unspoken rule in the entertainment world has been, stay quiet and you'll be taken care of. But that rulebook is starting to fall apart. Cassie's story is challenging the status quo, and people, especially younger artists, are paying close attention. The implications of this case go far beyond Diddy. High-profile lawsuits like this shape not just public opinion, but also the standards the industry sets for itself, whether formally or informally. In many ways, the court of public opinion is becoming just as powerful as the legal system. When celebrities face credible accusations of abuse or exploitation, it forces a reckoning. It makes fans, executives, and fellow artists ask, how much silence are we willing to accept in the name of entertainment? Cassie's fight could very well redefine accountability for powerful figures in the entertainment world. Legal insiders hint that her team may still have more to reveal: emails, messages, witness testimony. If the details already released have shaken Diddy's empire, imagine the impact of what might still come. Cassie's steady confidence suggests she's not only prepared for that next step, she's ready to take it. Ultimately, this isn't just her battle. Cassie is sending a signal to survivors everywhere. No matter how powerful someone seems, they don't get to control the narrative forever. Her willingness to walk into this storm shows that even the most influential figures in Hollywood are not beyond reach. And if she succeeds, the precedent she sets could echo throughout the entire industry. As the trial unfolds, the stakes for Diddy grow higher by the day. What happens if his carefully curated image collapses under the weight of these allegations? The fallout could be career-defining, maybe even career-ending. And the impact wouldn't stop with him. Cassie's stand could mark a turning point in how we hold the powerful accountable in industries built on silence.